everybody's attention.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Good morning. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome everyone to the Rotary Club of Arcata Sunrise. My name is Barbara Browning and I'm a past president of this club, and I'm not quite used to being up in front of people like I was when I got to do this 2 years ago. Thank you to our students, parents, and special guests for being here this morning. Today we get to honor the top 10% of Arcata High students, hand out scholarships to some very deserving students. Where are all the students? Welcome, you guys. We've seen a lot of you here before. So this is one of our favorite meetings of the year, and we really enjoy celebrating all of the accomplishments of you amazing students. Before we start our actual program, I just have one club announcement. We're doing the Oyster Fest on June 17th. If anybody still wants to serve beer, there's still a little room to sign up for that. And are there any other announcements from club members that I don't know about? Okay. Then, for our guests, in case you don't know what Rotary is, I pulled this little elevator speech down from the, oh, Craig, go ahead.
I just wanted to let the club members know, some of the students may know this or not, but the Arcata High Interact Club recently conducted a spaghetti feed fundraiser. And part of what Rotary does, we do things locally, but we also do them internationally. So this is a way to fund an international program, and they have funded a program that's Rotary associated that works to provide information about child slavery worldwide. It's a huge thing, and in a lot of countries it's not thought about quite even like it's thought about here, but it's informational. Last year they raised over $1,200. This year they raised over $1,600. They sent tremendous accomplishment by high school kids, and they do it all themselves. It's not a bunch of adults saying, here, we can just do that. They just take it on and do it entirely themselves. And they had the function at the school that came in the new facility that came off just really great. The kids, you can't thank them enough for the great work they do.
Thanks, Craig, and thanks, Nick, and everybody else who works with those Interact youth. Any other announcements before I move on? Okay, so just to a little elevator pitch on Rotary. For those of you who don't know what Rotary is, Rotary is a worldwide organization of 1.2 million dedicated business and professional men and women that meet in local clubs to develop, this is funny, to develop activities, I just took this off the internet, to make our local community and the world a better place. We feed the hungry, work to rid the world of polio, educate the illiterate, and respond to disasters. And I would also say we grow our own leadership abilities here in Rotary. We make friends and have fun while serving others. And we also have Rotaract for young professionals between 18 and 30, and Interact for high school students, which Craig was just talking about. And are there any interactors here this morning? Stand up, you guys. Interactors are really smart, too. And before we get started introducing the top 10%, I want to thank everybody who helped set this meeting up. This is our most complicated meeting of the year to set up, so stand up if you had anything to do with getting flowers, bringing in the sound system, getting speakers, picking scholarship winners. Come on, Rotarians. Okay, now Mr. Navarre. Is Mr. Navarre here? I know he's here somewhere.
Thank you, Barbara.
Come on now. Dave Navarre, principal of Arcata High.
Okay, good morning, folks, and thank you, President Barbara. Pleasure to be here. We look forward to this every year. Barbara mentioned Rotary, what Rotary does. They do so much in our community, and particularly with our school. In fact, just last night, we had, Stan was down there with some help from Crestmark and this company, and with some Interact kids. They were putting on the finishing touches on a new, beautiful redwood bench out in front of the school. That's just one project. On Wednesday night, Rotary was there giving away scholarships, generous scholarships to our students. So Rotary, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. You guys do a great job, and we couldn't do it without you. Now, one thing we could do, yeah, and I talked with Barbara and Bill, on Wednesday, the students had a cut day, and the administration is still smarting. It was senior cut day. We don't know how to discipline these kids, so Barbara helped me work something out. Seniors, we're going to have you do the dishes after breakfast, okay? I think that'll help. We'll feel better. Seriously, folks, this group is an amazing group. GPAs, every single one of them above 4.0, okay? Now that didn't exist with many of us in school back in the day, but every one of these kids, that means they exceed. I love a quote from Thomas Edison that genius is 2% inspiration and 98% perspiration. These kids, they live by that credo. They get up every morning. How many are in orchestra? Raise your hand if you're in orchestra. Okay, these kids, they're ready for Rotary. They get up at 6 o'clock every day, show up at 7 and perform music. It's a wonderful event. And these kids do so much. I could go on and on about these kids, but we're going to have 20 of them, so I want to get right to it. Students, what we're going to do is we're going to have you, when I call your name, I'm going to have you come up, and the president will give you a certificate, and we're going to have you stay up, and there's going to be a whole bunch of you, and at the end we'll take a picture, okay? So we're going to get started with Kirsten Josang. Kirsten has earned a 4.092 cumulative GPA. Yes, 4.092. She gets up every morning, participates in orchestra. Kirsten is going to attend College of Redwoods in the fall. Kirsten would like to thank her parents for instilling in her the importance of a good education. Thanks for helping me along the way. I couldn't have done it without you. Congratulations, Kirsten. This is a dynamic family right here, folks, because the next one up is Cole Josang. Come on up, Cole. Cole has earned a 4.104 cumulative GPA. He plans to attend College of Redwoods in the fall. And Cole would like to thank his parents for being there to give encouragement all through the years and raising me with a strong work ethic. Congratulations, Cole. Next up, Allie Lucchese. There she is. Allie has earned a 4.134 GPA. She plans to attend the University of California, Berkeley in the fall. Allie would like to thank her mom and dad for constantly supporting me in all my endeavors. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you for choosing me to be part of your family. Congratulations, Allie. Caitlin Fitzgerald. Caitlin here? Well, Caitlin has earned a 4.164 GPA. She is going to attend the University of California in Davis. Additionally, Caitlin is one of only 4 students in the county that earned the seal of biliteracy in 3 languages. Caitlin would like to thank her parents for all their love and support. Congratulations, Caitlin. Marina Sloan. Marina? Where's Marina? Oh, I wanted to tease Marina. But I'll just leave it at this. She's earned a 4.179 GPA. She plans to attend UC Santa Barbara in the fall. Marina would like to thank her mom for supporting all her interests and believing in her always. I love you so much and I'm grateful for all you do for me. Congratulations, Marina. And this next guy has the best nickname I've ever heard. I heard it at the senior awards last night. They call him the Sloan Ranger. Ryan Sloan. Come on up, Ryan. has earned a 4.193 GPA. He plans to attend UC Santa Barbara in the fall. And Ryan wants to thank Mom and Dad for all the opportunities and lessons they have given me over the years. Congratulations, Ryan. And next, Aliyah Isa. Aliyah has earned a 4.196 GPA, and she plans to attend Humboldt State University in the fall. There we go. Aliyah would like to thank her family for being supporting forces in my life and teaching me how to grow as a person. You guys are the best, and I love you to the moon and back. I've read that book a few times. Congratulations. Zoe Knox. Zoe has earned a 4.206 GPA. She plans to, go to Germany for a year travel in exchange. Are you on an exchange, Rotary exchange or something like that?
It's the Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange, which is through the State Department.
All right, very good. Through the State Department. Congratulations, Zoe. Zoe would like to thank her mom and dad for letting me find my own way. That's a great sentiment. Congratulations, Zoe. Trula Rail. Trula has earned a 4.206 cumulative GPA. She plans to attend a small little university in Massachusetts, maybe you've heard of it. It's called Harvard University in the fall. And she would like to thank her parents for always encouraging me to make life an adventure. Congratulations, Trula. I want to thank Trula's family, Dennis and the rest of the family. They are always so generous to Arcata High School in so many ways, always giving us bagels and providing support. So thank you, Dennis. Robin Joyce. Robin has earned a 4.223 cumulative GPA. She plans to attend Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts in the fall. Now, Robin put something there. Mom and Dad, Kelly, I think she has a little dispute here about some kind of a financial incentive you put in place for her brother, and so she wanted me to read that out loud, but I'm going to let that just stay with you and the family, okay? But she did put a smiling face on it, and then she said, "Thank you for always being encouraging me, or thank you for everything you've done. I truly appreciate it." Congratulations, Robin. Benson Floyd. Benson has earned a 4.243 GPA. He plans to serve a mission in Cape Verde for 2 years, after which he will attend BYU in the fall of 2019. Benson would like to thank his parents for all the support and love that they have showed me. Congratulations, Benson. Claire Bareilles. Claire has earned a 4.248 cumulative GPA. Where's Claire? Oh, here it comes. 4.248 GPA. She's going to attend Simon Fraser University in British Columbia, where she will compete on the university soccer team. Claire would like to thank her parents for always supporting me in all my pursuits. Also for always knowing what to say whenever I felt overwhelmed with all my activities. I may need to talk to your parents, Claire. And she also said, I want to thank my older sister for being a role model since day one. Congratulations, Claire. That's Claire's sister, Jessie, a graduate of Arcata High School, and she just got a scholarship for LaSalle University in Philadelphia to play soccer, Division I soccer, big stuff. Cannon Russell. Cannon has earned a 4.255 GPA. He plans to attend UC Santa Barbara in the fall. Wow. Santa Barbara may want to designate an Arcata High wing in the dormitory down there. Although his parents could not join him this morning, Cannon wants them to know how thankful he is for all their support. Congratulations, Cannon. Maximiliano Gambin. I'd love to say that name. I'm designating that the best name in the school. Max has earned a 4.283 GPA. He plans to attend UC Santa Barbara in the fall. And Max recently won the Congressional Arts Contest. So maybe you caught this on TV or in the newspaper. Congressman Huffman came to our school a week ago and presented Max with an award. Now, in addition to that visit, which was fantastic at our school, and our seniors did a terrific job. In fact, his staff left saying, I can't believe the questions that your student audience had for us. So very impressed with him. Max piece of work will be on display in the Hall of Congress for the next year. So that's a big deal for Arcata High. Congratulations on that, Max. Max wants to thank his family for their tremendous love and support, and for his friends and amazing faculty of Arcata High. Congratulations, Max. Nicholas Pritchard. Nick has earned a 4.21 GPA. He plans to attend UC Santa Cruz in the fall. And Nick would like to thank his parents for, and he put this honestly, putting up with me and my decisions. I wish Nick was here. We'd have to interrogate him on that. Congratulations, Nick. Elizabeth Umira. Elizabeth has earned a 4.318 cumulative GPA. She plans to attend UC Davis in the fall. She would, there we go. Is Greg here? Where's Greg? Is that Foster? Oh, okay. We love the Davis call out. Elizabeth would like to thank her mom and dad for putting 5 kids through Arcata High School and staying involved the entire time. Alicia and Yoshi, if you're willing, Arcata High, I'd like to put in an order for 5 more. Congratulations, Elizabeth. Owen Moorhead. Owen has earned a 4.326 cumulative GPA. He plans to attend UC Santa Cruz in the fall. Owen wrote this: Dear parents, I can't thank you enough for teaching me throughout my life and filling it with generosity, kindness, love, and support. I would not be the person I am today without you. I truly don't want to be anybody else. I inserted except Mr. Navarre. Probably not, huh? He says, I love you guys with all my heart. Congratulations, Owen. Maya Zombas. Maya has earned a 4.35 cumulative GPA. She was a Rising Star nominee for Humboldt County Office of Education. She plans to attend UC Santa Cruz in the fall. And Maya would like to thank Mom and Dad for inspiring me to always do my best and supporting me in everything I do. Congratulations, Maya. Greta Bishop. I don't know if her classmates have voted on this, but I think Greta has the best smile in the school. Greta has earned a 4.377 GPA. She plans to attend UCLA in the fall. And Greta would like to thank her dad for supporting her both in and out of the classroom. Congratulations, Greta. And now we're down to number 1, folks. And when I say that, that's the GPA. So this is, we'll be announcing this at our graduation with these 2, but Kate McLeod. Kate, I got your name right. Every other event we've been to, I've announced Kate. It's spelled M-C-L-E-O-D, and I said McLeod. I've done that about 5 times, so Kate, I wrote it McLeod here. Kate is a HCOE Rising Star And then she was selected one of only 2 in the county to be the stellar rising star. So congratulations for that, Kate. Kate has earned a 4.403 cumulative GPA. She plans to attend UC Santa Barbara in the fall. Kate would like to thank her family for facilitating all the wonderful things in her life and supporting her with so much love and support. Congratulations, Kate. Folks, I'll tell you just a little bit about this group. Beginning of the year, the teachers with the staff, they're talking and saying, hey, what's going to be special about this group? And as they come into their senior year, this group takes care of one another. They hang out together, as evidenced by their senior cut day, in which they kept it quiet. They were very good about that, but I investigated it, and the thing is, we wanted to make sure they came back safe. And when I looked into it and talked to some folks, they were taking care of each other. They made sure they made smart decisions, and that's very important as they move out into adulthood. This is really a wonderful group of kids, talented, they work hard, they brought a lot of glory to Arcata High School, and we're going to miss them. Here they are, folks, the best of the best, top 10% of Arcata High. Thank you for having us.
It's okay, sure. We'll crouch.
Oh, yeah.
Just zooming in on your face. All right.
And, yeah, thanks. We were remiss in having the parents stand up. So if you are a parent or a guardian or caregiver of these amazing young adults, please stand up. Thank you for all you've done to raise these amazing human beings. We need all the great people on the planet we can get, so great job. And now we are going to present our scholarships. Brian and Jeff, will you please come up?
Thank you. This really is our favorite presentation of the year, and I can tell you this is by far my favorite committee. It's amazing to meet these kids, and it gives you a lot of hope for the future. And as we give out these awards, they're not really awards to us. They're not prizes. They're investments in our Social Security benefits, because you're going to be paying the taxes. But they're an investment in our communities and our futures, because you're the leaders that are going to be taking over the world as we leave it behind. So thank you very much for all your hard work. So our first award for $500 scholarship goes to Vanessa Holland. Our next $500 award goes to John Packer. Our first $1,000 award goes to Phoenix Sport. Our next $1,000 award goes to Jessica Smith. Our next $1,000 award goes to Carmen Herrera. And And the Sloan Ranger with $1,000. And our final award is a $1,500 per year reoccurring scholarship for 4 years. And this goes to a young lady that impressed all of us greatly, Brooke Chalker. Congratulations. Can we get everyone up to do a quick picture, please?
Brian, move your head a little bit. I never have that problem because I'm so tall. All right, thank you.
Okay, and now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lisa Rossbacher, who is the president of Humboldt State University, and also coincidentally the boss of my boss. So, Dr. Rossbacher, please come up.
Well, congratulations to all of the graduates and your families. This is a wonderful time for you and a great opportunity to celebrate your accomplishments and your future. I'd like you all to take just a moment to think about a moment in your life when you were really surprised. Got one? Well, I want to encourage the graduates, and all of us indeed, to prepare to be surprised and prepare to be surprising. Life is all about surprises and how we deal with them. And in no small part, education is about, education and experience are about minimizing surprises. History and experience of others can teach us a lot. We don't always have to be surprised. But no matter how prepared we think we are, or actually are, we will be surprised. And the challenge then is how we deal with the surprises we encounter. Surprise is the unexpected. It's about dealing with the unknown, the unanticipated, the unseen. Some surprises are good, like scholarships, like compliments, or a gift, or just a great opportunity. Some surprises are bad, like a flat tire, an unexpected rejection, lost luggage, or a personal or family tragedy. One of my mother's favorite quotes is from a poem by Robert Burns, the 18th century Scottish poet. And he wrote, "The best laid plans o' mice and men gang aft gley, and leave us naught but grief and pain for promised joy. When our schemes go agley, which means off the path or awry, then we learn something about who we are and how we can contribute to making the world a better place." Engineer and automobile manufacturer Henry Ford once said, and I quote, "One of the greatest discoveries a man makes, one of his great surprises, is to find he can do what he was afraid he couldn't do." And I predict that many of you students will be surprised by what you can do. You will also be surprised by what others can do. There's a famous quote from General George Patton, and this is one of the many applications of military experience to the business world, and it's widely cited in management books, so you may have heard it before. But General Patton said, "Don't tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do and let them surprise you with their results." So allow yourselves to be surprised. The history of technology and invention is filled with stories of people who dealt creatively and successfully with surprise. For example, At the end of World War II, a Connecticut store owner named Peter Hodgson realized that General Electric Laboratories had a large surplus of a synthetic pliable rubber material. It had been produced as a caulking and molding medium, but there was so much left over. What could they do with it? Well, Mr. Hodgson put small amounts of this material in plastic eggs. And do you know how he marketed it? Silly putty, right? In 1968, a research scientist was looking for a way to improve adhesives in tape, in what we think of as the trademark Scotch tape. And in the process, he came up with a new adhesive that formed tiny little spheres. They wouldn't dissolve, they couldn't be melted, and although the tiny spheres were very sticky individually, they only had very localized contact, and so they didn't produce a very strong hold. Now, these characteristics were a surprise to the researchers, but they dealt creatively with the surprise in this new material. And do you know what the result was in 1980? Right, Post-it notes. And you students weren't even born when Post-it notes were invented. But the rest of us don't know how we ever lived without them. You've never had to. And they only exist because of people who were prepared to deal with the surprise of unexpected results. We all need to stay open for surprises and for where the unexpected can lead us. When I got to college, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was going to be an English major, and I was going to write the great American novel. But I went to a college that required everyone to take a year of a laboratory science. And so I got there for the beginning of my freshman year, and I said, well, I know none of you would ever say this. I'm going to get that out of the way. But by the time the people whose last names started with R got to register for class, the only science course that had any seats left was geology. So I signed up, thinking in my mind, I'm going to get this over with. And to my great surprise, I absolutely fell in love with that academic discipline. I love the concept of time, and when you're dealing with Earth history of about 5 billion years, it kind of puts the nuisances of daily life into a much clearer perspective. I love being able to walk out of a class and understand something about the world around me that I hadn't known an hour before. So when I got to college, my plans pretty quickly went agley. But deciding to change my major to geology literally changed my life. At the time, only about 10% of geologists were women. And I had some opportunities and some challenges that I would never have benefited from if I had stuck to my original plan. And I haven't given up on writing that great American novel yet. It's also important not to be trapped by other people's assumptions about you and your life. In my junior year in college, I met my boyfriend's family for the first time. And his mother invited some of her friends to come over for a tea so that they could meet me. Okay, no pressure there. And just before her guests arrived, she took me aside and she said, "Dear, I have a request for you." Okay. She said, "If anyone asks you what your major is in college, would you mind saying history or something? It's such a conversation stopper when you say geology. Nobody knows what to say next." Kept the major, lost the boyfriend. But I was really surprised that anyone else thought it was unusual or even surprising for a woman to be a geologist. And of course, it is much less surprising today because more than a third of geologists are women now. But I learned something in this process, both about myself and about other people. And as it turns out, geology is actually really good preparation for being a university president. A study a few years ago identified 46 presidents who had become, geologists who had become college or university presidents in the United States and Canada in the last 200 years. And one of those is a former president of Humboldt State, Alistair McCrum, who is also a geologist. So of the three most recent geologists at Humboldt, got 2 geologists. But at the time this study was done a few years ago, I was the only woman in that group. Today there are 2 other women geologists who are college presidents as well. But geologists have some real advantages in leading institutions of higher education. We're accustomed to having to reach conclusions without ever having all the information we want. Because in geology, the information you want could be buried miles beneath the surface of the earth. It could have been eroded over millions of years, or in my case, it could be on another planet. Geologists don't get too excited unless an earthquake is more than about 7.0. And we have perspective on the rate of change, which can be very slow in higher education. In geology, there's a unit of measurement called the Bubnov unit. And it's named after a Russian-born German geologist. It's a standard measure for a rate of change equal to 1 millimeter per 1,000 years. And for example, it's used to describe how fast sediment piles up on the ocean floor, how fast glaciers move. One way to visualize this is to take a distance equal to about 1/10 the length of your fingernail, and then imagine changing by that distance every 1,000 years. So when you're used to dealing with Bubnov units, you have a lot more patience with the rate of change in university curriculum. In fact, it can look like it's happening with blinding speed. When I was in high school, I never imagined where my career would take me. And those of you who are just graduating probably can't imagine either. You'll be surprised. A recent study by the Department of Labor predicts that you, today's young people, will hold an average of 9 jobs before you are 32 years old. Some of those jobs you can predict, some of them you've probably already done, but some you and we can't imagine. 80% of today's kindergartners will work in jobs that don't even exist right now. You will all be surprised. And you will also be surprised by the opportunities that will be available to you. I certainly have been. I was very surprised when NASA offered to pay for my graduate education at Princeton if I was willing to focus my research on Mars. Okay. But I took a lot of teasing from the other graduate students about when I was actually going to do some field work. In fact, the geology department at Princeton had this huge globe in the lobby. And people had push pins that they had stuck in it all over to show where their field areas were. You know, the Adirondack Mountains, the Ayr Massif in Niger, you know, literally all over the world. And some joker hung a string from the ceiling with a little arrow for my field area. And so, just to shut them up, as I was finishing up my PhD, I applied to NASA's astronaut program. And I was absolutely honest in my application. I said, I wear glasses, I get really car sick, I get really, really seasick. And I didn't even really expect to hear back. So I was very surprised when I was notified that I was a finalist for the astronaut candidate program, and I was being invited to the Johnson Space Center for a week of interviews and physical exams and psychiatric evaluations and tours and all sorts of things. In that selection round, NASA received about 5,000 applications. They interviewed about 100 people, of whom I was one, and they selected 12, of whom I was not one. But this was not a career decision I had ever really thought about. So it was interesting and unexpected and really surprising. But I had to give it a try. And that week-long experience at the Johnson Space Center was absolutely fascinating, although it too was full of surprises. Some of the exams are not appropriate for after a meal, but one of the surprising parts, which I can tell in polite society, was an element of this week that had to do with something called a personal rescue spear. And it looks like a big basketball that's made out of leather, and it's got a zipper. And the idea behind this, or so we were told, is that there isn't enough room on the space shuttle for every astronaut to have a suit that they can put on and go outside if they have to be rescued and get to another space shuttle. And so the idea is that in case of an emergency, and the astronauts have to abandon the spacecraft, the astronauts that don't have actual spacesuits would curl up inside these personal rescue spheres, get zipped in, it would inflate with oxygen to pressurize it from the outside, and it would be, actually had handles on the outside, and it would be carried over to a rescue shuttle by one of the astronauts that did have a spacesuit. And at some point during this interview week, every one of the interviewees was asked to help evaluate the personal rescue sphere. We had electrodes taped all over our bodies and our heads to monitor our pulse and our temperature. And we wore a helmet, sort of like an old-fashioned leather football helmet, except this had a microphone and speakers in it for radio communication with the technicians who were outside. And we climbed into this sphere, got zipped in for an unspecified period of time in total darkness, at the end of which we were asked to sit down and write an evaluation of the sphere as though we were writing a consultant's report. And when we compared notes later, most of us wrote things like the interior seams need to be finished a little better because you could catch something on them, or there should be a window. One of the other people recommended they needed a good stereo system inside. But some of you have probably already figured this out. This had nothing to do with advising NASA on the personal rescue sphere. It was a claustrophobia test, pure and simple. And even if you had a problem with small, enclosed, dark spaces and thought you could tough it out and last for however long it was going to be, which they refused to tell you ahead of time, your pulse rate was going to give you away. So on average, about one person out of every 20 lost it in the personal rescue sphere. All I had to do was say, "Get me out of here," and it was over. And they would finish the week of interviews, but they knew what the outcome would be. And I've always thought of myself as being a little bit claustrophobic, but I had no trouble with the sphere. I was just glad to have 20 minutes when no one was poking me or asking me questions. Ultimately, I was not selected for the astronaut program, and there were two reasons. The official reason was that although I passed all the medical exams with flying colors, I didn't have a pilot's license. And at the time, NASA was only selecting experienced pilots, even for the mission specialist positions, which are the scientists on board the space shuttle. So I was encouraged to take flying lessons, get a license, or as they said, otherwise demonstrate experience in aviation and reapply. And the fact is, most of the people in the astronaut program are not selected the first time they apply. If you ever read the bios, you will see applied this year, this year, this year, selected in this year. And so part of the whole evaluation is seeing how badly you want it. And so pretty much everyone who goes through the interviews the first time is given some kind of a test. And so when I was going through this process, there were people who were told, you know, get some eye surgery to improve your vision, lose 20 pounds, get a master's degree. People were given a test and then asked to reapply. And so what I was told was get a pilot's license. The unofficial reason, though, was shared with me by one of the psychiatrists who was part of the interview process. To this day, NASA has never selected a college professor for the regular astronaut program. And I know this will be a shock to some of you, especially if you have teachers in the room, but college professors don't take orders as well as NASA would like. When Mission Control says, "Do this," they want to hear, "Roger that." They do not want to be surprised, and they do not want to hear, "Well, have you thought about approaching it this way? What if we tried a different solution?" Or, "Let's examine those fundamental assumptions again." So it was not a surprise that I wasn't selected, but it was a monumental surprise that I was even considered, and a fascinating experience. You need to be prepared to be surprised, but you also need to minimize the ways in which you are surprised. There's a saying that good judgment comes from experience, and a lot of experience comes from bad judgment. We learn from our own mistakes, and we also learn from the mistakes of others. And in a sense, that's what education is all about. We learn from the experience based on both good and bad judgment of other people, both currently and throughout history. And when you study chemistry, history, math, art, biology, the whole range of fields available to you in college, you are learning about the experiences and lessons learned from other people at other times. The 19th century American philosopher, poet, and essayist, Ralph Waldo Emerson, observed that, quote, "We learn geology the day after the earthquake." Most of the world starts learning about tsunamis the morning after one happens. That's a surprise that should be avoided. And with the tsunami awareness that we have in this region, we are less likely to be surprised than the people living in many other regions of the world. Education is all about minimizing the surprises and then dealing with the ones that do happen. Our ability to deal with surprises, both good and bad, is a measure of both our experience and our character, and what we do and how we behave when our best laid schemes go agley. When we encounter discrimination, when we discover corporate fraud, when we're surprised by unexpected opportunities, by unanticipated gifts or unforeseen tragedy, how do we behave? Dealing with surprises teaches us about ourselves. And no matter how much education we have and how much we learn from the actions and sometimes the errors of others, life will always be full of surprises. Be ready. And I'd like to conclude with a line of poetry that was written by Alice Walker, one of today's foremost American authors. She wrote in Revolutionary Petunias and other poems, and I quote, "Expect nothing, live on surprise." I very much appreciate the chance to be with you, to celebrate with you this morning, and I want to wish the very best to the graduates whom we are recognizing and whose accomplishments and achievements we're recognizing today. And I hope the ways in which you are surprised and the ways in which you surprise others are all happy ones. Thank you.
It was a real surprise for me to be up here this morning. You never know where you're going to end up. And it's all, when Dr. Rossbacher said to think of a surprise, the surprise that came to my mind was the day I got my job at Humboldt State. I'm currently the Chief Operations Officer at the California Center for Rural Policy, and I was up there looking for some consulting work, and before I left the room I had a full-time job. That was a huge surprise, so you never know where you're going to end up. So we're about to conclude. I just want to thank everyone for being here today. It's really early. 7 a.m. is really early to be at a meeting. Thank you again to the parents for raising such great kids. Thank you, Mr. Navarre, wherever you are, for being here again. And thank you, Dr. Rossbacher, for your inspiring words. And thank you, young people, for everything you've done so far and everything you're going to do in the future. I copied a quote from our past president, Howard, from last year because I thought it was really good. So to you young people, this is from Garrison Keillor: be well, do good work, and keep in touch. Right? You've heard that before. So thank you so much. Have a great week, and go out and do some service this week.